Hi, everyone, and welcome to episode 25 of Diabetics for Diabetics Radio. Today's episode is titled How I Flushed My Liver. We are taking a look at the book and the protocol that I used to eliminate gallstones, pass gallstones, and restore my liver function to a point that I had never experienced before. I made progress with my liver, my gallbladder, my ability to digest food that I didn't even know I could make. I didn't know that I was at any sort of deficit. So we're going to talk more about the flush itself and how I did it and what I thought about it. So if we haven't met, my name is Bowie. I have had type 1 diabetes for over 21 years, and I have spent the past 2 years diving into the research, applying what I've found on myself, all things outside of your typical endocrinologist visit, mostly related to diet, mineral balance, nutritional deficiencies, and things like that. And I have been sharing via social media outlets, mainly my TikTok. You can see my handle there at Bowie_Madison, as well as if you're here listening to this on YouTube. I have this Diabetics for Diabetics Radio, as well as some more short form content. So I am learning more about diabetes than I ever have before. Again, had it for 22 years, just about. And in the 2 years that I started to actually pay attention and start to dive into things, I realized that there is so much that is not being covered. That is why this podcast is here. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to talk about a liver flush and what that means. And so first, in order to understand the flush and why we're doing it, where are we coming from? So if you are like me, you are suffering from an autoimmune condition, your health, if it's not deteriorating, it's staying about the same, but you really aren't gaining anything new. The technology surrounding it may be getting better, but you don't have any better understanding of why what happened or why what's happening is happening. So I made a TikTok post about the relationship between the liver and the gallbladder a few days ago, mainly focusing on the liver's role in iron recycling and taking on too much iron, and how taking on too much iron can inadvertently affect the gallbladder because the two organs are very closely related. And I got so much feedback, so many comments from people dealing with gallbladder issues, whether it be gallbladder attacks, whether it be they're at risk of having theirs taken out, they have surgery scheduled to take it out, or they've had it taken out and they have this new litany of problems that resulted from the removal. So there are more and more gallbladders being removed than ever before. They are calcified, they are fibrotic, they are loaded with gallstones that are getting stuck in bile ducts and causing gallbladder attacks. Why? Poor dietary habits, right? We're all dealing with a certain degree of nutrient and mineral deficiency. Like I mentioned before, with the relationship between the liver and the gallbladder, our liver is not able to function properly, partially because of these gallstones being lodged in the bile ducts and blocking proper flow of bile, affecting the digestion of your food, but also the minerals and nutrients that any organ needs to properly function from a cellular health standpoint. So, you know, how many people in your life do you know, yourself included, that are having to deal with some sort of digestive issue, autoimmune condition, hormonal imbalance, right? So this is really what this is all about, and you'll see as we talk about it, these are things that the flush really helped me with. Now, I want to be very clear that we'll start from the bottom here and work our way up. When I talk about the liver flush, this is the book that I am referring to, The Amazing Liver and Gallbladder Flush by Andreas Moritz. It's a 6 to 7 day protocol. It is a natural way to soften gallstones, dilate bile ducts, and effectively pass your gallstones without any sort of surgical intervention. Now, this whole podcast episode is dedicated to my experience with this book, my experience executing the plans put forth in this book. Whatever information I present, whatever you hear from what I say, nothing can replace buying the book and deciding to do this for yourself. Okay? I do not mean at all, this is not at all a recommendation. This is not at all, exactly how you should do it. You need to buy the book. You need to read through it. And if it comes to this, you need to talk with your healthcare professional to determine if you are well enough to participate. The last thing I want is for someone to just dive right into this without understanding all of the inner details of the protocol itself and say, oh, well, Bowie told me to do it. Everything that you do is up to you. This is strictly educational, and I want to make sure that is crystal clear before we move forward. So that being said, who would benefit from this liver flush? Okay, so you'll see there on the right side some of the common symptoms that having a malfunctioning gallbladder can lead to: constipation, cirrhosis, high cholesterol, depression, heart disease, back pain, asthma, headaches, all things interrelated with an autoimmune disorder, with improper digestion, with hormonal imbalance, what have you. So gallstones unknowingly collect in the gallbladder, the liver, and the bile ducts, which are ducts in the liver as well as the gallbladder, where bile is released from into the digestive tract to digest fats that we ingest, as well as to collect bacteria and toxins as well. If they do not work effectively, or some ducts are blocked, you can become fatigued, your tissues inflamed, you put on weight or store extra fat, and your immune system is unable to fight off illness and disease, because like I mentioned, bile actually helps in containing bacteria and toxins. Okay, so any of these, which a lot of people are dealing with, this book is definitely worth looking into. So what actually are gallstones? So gallstones are hardened masses of bile. So they consist of cholesterol, right? Like the fats in our blood, fats in the food, as well as bilirubin. Bilirubin is a protein in our blood that the gallbladder is used to recycle or help the liver recycle. Bilirubin is actually the yellow protein that gives people with jaundice their color, right? When someone has jaundice, their skin becomes yellow. That's because your liver is unable to effectively process bilirubin. So these gallstones are bile, which have collected all of these different things in the blood and in the food, and they have become hardened, calcified, and they can get lodged in bile ducts. There are hundreds of them throughout your liver and your gallbladder. A lot happens in the gallbladder because part of what the gallbladder's job is to concentrate the bile being released by the liver. So the gallbladder holds about 2 shot glasses worth of bile, about 2 fluid ounces. And so for the bile that is in there, if there are extra things in there like heavy metals, like cholesterol and proteins and things like that, and it becomes concentrated, those things can clump together, and that's where gallstones come from. So these stones clog up the body's natural cleansing organs, creating a toxic environment, incapable of maintaining good health, right? So it's like damming the river that is allowing all of the bad things to flow out of your body. So they can range anywhere from like little tiny pea size, like you see here down in the bottom of this this paper towel all the way up to like quarter size. There are some that can be 3 to 5 millimeters. Anything, anything that large in the 3 to 5 millimeter range, a lot of times people need to have it surgically removed. It is found in some sort of medical imaging. I don't know if it's an MRI or a ultrasound or what have you, but it's not physically possible to pass through your bile ducts, so you need to have it surgically removed, and a lot of people actually have to have that done. So what exactly is a gallbladder attack? I personally have never had one before, but from what I read, an attack itself is when the gallstone become lodged in whether the common bile duct, which is kind of like the main thoroughfare for bile getting into the digestive system. It's like it builds up pressure, it stops the flow of the bacteria and toxins that the bile holds, and it prevents the flow of bile, preventing you from properly digesting your food. So this can show up as pain in the upper right or center of your belly with a meal, or you can even feel it because it's kind of central to your body. It can also show up in the back of your torso between your shoulder blades. Again, I have never had one, but those are the symptoms of it. So you may be asking, okay, Bowie, well, you've never had a gallbladder attack, and you said before you had no reason to believe that your liver or your gallbladder were experiencing any issues. Why did I do it, right? And I truly had no reason not to. I've never had digestive issues that I knew about. No crazy food sensitivities. I was diagnosed celiac about 7 to 8 years ago, but I never had any issues going to the bathroom. No weird stomach pains. I've been healthy my whole life, essentially. Physically active, well hydrated. I try to eat healthy. I do eat healthy. So why would I do this? Most of the work I had been doing on my health before this was focusing on my liver specifically and its ability to recycle iron. I had been donating blood and going through, heavy metal cleanses and things like that to help address any sort of liver dysfunction. When I was doing that, I did not connect the dots between the gallbladder and the liver. But through a healthcare practitioner that I was using at the time, I had mentioned some of the systemic enzymes that I used to break up any calcification or fibrosis that I had envisioned that I may have on my pancreas or my liver. And he said, well, have you ever tried a liver flush? And I hadn't. But if you know anything about me, I'm not here to decide not to do something, right? If it might help, I want to try it. So I did. And what I found, good Lord. So this picture here on the right those are gallstones from my liver and my gallbladder. And the funny thing is, so I think the biggest one there is probably the size of a dime, maybe. Some of those in the middle, dime-sized. Those pictures are from my sixth liver flush. So each one before that had something of bigger or equal amounts. And these aren't all of them, right? Some of them are too small. You do actually poop them out, so you have to go fishing in the toilet to get them. They float, but these were the noteworthy ones that were big enough for me to collect. And it's absolutely incredible. This is the sixth one. I've spoken on social media about this as well as on the podcast. I passed over 1,000 of these. 1,000. And that's not hyperbole. I didn't count every one individually because some of them are awfully small, but across the 6 flushes, 1,000 gallstones. So And after these, in the days after each flush, my energy improved, my sleep improved, my skin. I used to be a burn and freckle kind of kid no matter what, and I did this in the heart of summer. I started to tan. My skin's ability to adapt and make melanin, I was tanning in a way that nobody understood how. My digestion improved, my hair quality, my hair stopped falling out so much. I stopped growing a unibrow. My widow's peak started to fill in a little bit more. It was incredible. It was absolutely incredible. And at no point did I ever imagine that I had these within my liver. I thought I had checked all my boxes in terms of doing the right thing, healthy, my digestion's good, what have you. I had something coming for me because these guys came out of me. It was absolutely crazy. So let's talk about how it works, the science behind it a little bit. So the protocol itself is 6 to 7 days, and the vast majority of it is nothing more than drinking something high in malic acid. So the book itself, the primary protocol mentions drinking a gallon of apple juice a day for 5 or 6 days. Apple juice is rich in malic acid. He does give some alternatives, like I have diabetes. So the last thing I want to do is drink a gallon of apple juice because my blood sugar is going to be all over the place. You can actually buy powdered isolated malic acid from, like a Spice World website or something like that. I got it off of Amazon, incredibly cheap, and you get more than you'll ever need. But you teaspoon of malic acid mixed in 28 to 32 ounces of water. You shake it up and you just sip it throughout the day like you normally would any other water. So malic acid is responsible for the tart flavor it's used in winemaking and certain fruits. So everyone kind of knows the tartness of Granny Smith apples. That comes from malic acid, okay? And that's why apple juice is kind of the go-to drink. And what malic acid does is that it softens the gallstones. It makes them so that they are less rigid. It makes them kind of a little bit more mendable when it comes to being moved through the bile ducts. So over these 5.5 days, you are drinking your apple juice or the malic acid mixture that you have, and pretty simple, right? You're just drinking them little by little. It upset my stomach a little bit to start because it is very acidic, but it was so transient. It wasn't at all an issue for me throughout the day. Now, in those days that you are consuming the malic acid beverage, whichever one works for you, and again, read the book to see all of your options. It's encouraged to eat food that is going to be nutritious and make sure that your body is being taken care of. That shouldn't just be for the 7-day period. It should be all over the time. It should be all the time. But no processed foods. The author himself is vegetarian or vegan, I believe. So he is all for strictly fruits and vegetables in that week leading up to the actual flush itself, which we'll get to. This gives your liver an opportunity to technically rest, because the act of removing all of these gallstones is similar to kind of having an operation or like a surgery where you're having all of these things removed. So it's important that you are giving your liver a rest in this time before the actual procedure, quote unquote. Definitely no alcohol, definitely no drugs, nothing that's going to really tax your liver. I even pulled back on my supplements as well for that exact reason, just giving it less to process. So on the last day before you actually drink the special concoction, which we'll talk about, no fats or proteins. So fats and proteins are the things that are giving your liver the sign to release bile, your liver and your gallbladder. So all in the name of rest. You're making sure that you don't have anything in your system that is causing your liver and gallbladder to do extra work than the work it's about to have to do. So on that, again, you have that 5 days of drinking your malic acid beverage. On that 6th day, you are chugging. You're drinking a whole serving of malic acid. By this time, you're used to it. It's not that big of a deal, but you're drinking it all in the morning, or at least before noon, so that you kind of have everything in your system for the rest of the day. Small to typical breakfast for you. Again, no proteins, no fats. And then after noon, which you can have a small lunch, you're fasting the remainder of the day. And then in preparation for your kind of nighttime routine for the flush itself, you dissolve 4 tablespoons of Epsom salts, which is magnesium sulfate. And you mix that in about 24 ounces of water. You're looking to make 6-ish ounces of water, like little shots that you can drink. So again, everyone kind of thinks of Epsom salts as being, like for a bath, right? For muscle relaxation, what have you. Actually, and that's true. That is what they do. But they also serve to make you go to the bathroom, right? So when you take Epsom salts in these doses that I'm mentioning, it can help your GI tract clear out. It's going to make you go to the bathroom. It's good to line this up on a weekend so that you are not, in the workplace or someplace where you don't want to have to go to the bathroom. But the Epsom salts also relax the sphincter of your main bile duct. So it dilates the bile ducts and makes them a lot wider for those softened gallstones to pass. You don't actually take them just yet. We'll talk about that on the next slide, but it's good to kind of give it some time to shake up and dissolve in that water. So the flush itself. Now at 6 p.m., and again, this is all in the book. This is the protocol that he lists out. You take 1 serving of the Epsom salts. Okay. Does not taste great, but again, plug your nose, throw it back. This is to get your GI tract moving. This is to kind of clear your GI system so that when the gallstones do get released, they're not getting stuck or lodged in anything. So it's going to result in a bowel movement. It probably won't start as watery, but it will get watery. You want to make sure that you're cleaning everything out appropriately. And like I said, it also dilates your bile ducts. So give yourself 2 hours. Remember, again, you're fasting this whole period of time as well, since noon. So you've given your stomach time to empty and your GI tract time to kind of start to process things. 8 p.m., you take a second serving of the Epsom salts. Now, with that second dose now, if your stomach wasn't gurgling before, it's definitely going to be gurgling now. The absolute goal is to have a bowel movement within 2.5 to 3 hours of taking that first glass of Epsom salts. The second one is usually the one that puts you over the edge and things start to move. You will be having watery bowel movements. Now, to be honest, the first time I did this, I did not have a bowel movement. And also, you see here in the book, he says if you don't have a bowel movement by like 9 o'clock after the 2 shots of Epsom salts, give yourself an enema to help loosen things up and get things moving manually. I did not have an enema at the time, so I just let it fly. Again, I don't advocate for it. Make having an at-home enema kit as part of your preparations. But come 9:30 p.m., so you've already got your 2 shots of Epsom salts on board. You're gonna mix 1 6 to 8 ounce glass of freshly squeezed grape juice. Now, the author makes the point that it shouldn't be from concentrate, it shouldn't be artificially sweetened. It's best to actually get a whole grapefruit, soften it up, and juice it yourself. You're going to take 6 to 8 ounces in a glass or a mason jar, and you're going to mix in half a cup or 4 ounces of extra virgin olive oil. Weird combination, right? But that's what it is, and we'll talk about why in a second. And once you mix them, obviously they'll separate like olive or oil and water. Just let it stand without shaking until you have your sleeping arrangements made, which we'll talk about in the next slide. What was I going to say? Oh, make sure that the grapefruit juice isn't too cold. Cold liquids, cold foods make things constrict. You want it to be room temperature or warmer to allow for things to flow better. Okay, so you've got your concoction made, the grapefruit and the extra virgin olive oil. What does that actually do? Why those two things? So actually, citrus fruits in general, grapefruit is the preferred one in this particular protocol. If you are adverse or have some sort of allergy to grapefruit, you can do fresh squeezed orange juice as well. But these citrus fruits stimulate the liver to release detoxifying enzymes, right? I couldn't tell you exactly what it was about these citrus fruits, the acid, the vitamin C, the mineral content, what have you. But this kind of fires up your liver to let it know that something's going to happen, and it's gearing it up to be able to handle it all. And then the extra virgin olive oil is obviously just straight fat. It's a monounsaturated fat, I believe, and it stimulates a massive rush of bile that is going to help digest the fats. So you are prepping your liver with the grapefruit and stimulating a kind of a massive flow of bile into your GI tract to help dissolve or help to break down the olive oil, right? So you're opening up the floodgates with these two things, with softened gallstones from the malic acid and dilated bile ducts from the magnesium sulfate. So the flush itself. Now, I remember reading about this in the book and being like, oh my God, this sounds intense, because he's very intentional with how he says it should be done. So at 10 p.m., have your bed set up with a pillow to prop your head up and chest above your waist, right? So you're kind of like sitting up a little bit. And this is to allow for the gallstones to flow down, right? We want gravity to do its thing and everything to flow down into the digestive tract. If you are still having to go to the restroom leading up to 10 p.m. from the 2 Epsom salt shots that you took before, that's okay. You want to be as close to 10 p.m. as you can with the grapefruit olive oil mixture. You obviously don't want to go to the bathroom in the bed, so clear out what you need to clear out, and then get ready to take your juice. So everything is set up, lights are out in your room, everything's where it needs to be. You don't have to do anything else. You're going to shake that grapefruit juice and extra virgin olive oil up about 20 times. You're just looking to kind of emulsify and mix the two so that they're not separated. And 20 times, and throw it back. He, in the book, warns against like, oh, if you don't like the flavor, plug your nose, try to drink it as fast as you can. I love the taste of it. I mean, I'm not a picky eater or anything. I really do enjoy the taste of the citrus fruit and the olive oil. And so I just throw it back in one big gulp. And as soon as you finish, and this is where he gets serious in the book, lay down in your bed immediately. No moving, no rolling, no kind of like shuffling, getting comfortable. No, lay down on your back, belly up, with your arms at your side, okay, for a minimum of 20 minutes. As that concoction gets into your belly, you're gonna feel things start to kind of flow and move. He in the book says that you may be able to actually feel stones mobilize. I didn't feel like I had marbles rolling down my gut or anything like that. But he says just be intentional, focus on your liver and having things move through it and into the GI tract, basically just kind of using visualization to make sure that it's working. And at a minimum of 20 minutes, okay? Now, if I'm laying down still at 10 p.m. in my bed, chances are I'm going to go to sleep. So I just fall asleep in this period of time. That's perfectly fine. If you go to sleep, that's even better. Just leave it as it is. Now, if you need to go up or get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom at any point, go to the bathroom. Don't try and hold anything in. Just go to the bathroom. You want to hit that. Obviously, you want to hit that 20-minute mark because that's kind of gives everything enough time to process in your stomach, and go to the bathroom as you need to. After that, come back to your bed and go right back to sleep. Now, he mentions that you may feel sick to your stomach either in the night or in the morning when you wake up. That's because if you do have a lot of blockages and things like that, with the amount of bile that you've just now produced, it may have pushed back up into your stomach and given you kind of this kind of like sick, ill feeling. I did not experience that at all. I never felt unwell. I was fine wherever I was. My blood sugars were good and what have you. So in the morning, when you wake up, sometime between 6 a.m. and 6:30 a.m., you're going to take your third glass, 6-ounce glass of Epsom salts. Okay. Same idea, keeping those bile ducts dilated, still flushing your GI tract even more. You'll relax. You can go through light exercise, take a walk, light yoga, sit down, do journaling, what have you, listen to music. You may have to go to the bathroom, so I'm not going to say, run out to the store. You should be doing this at a time where you can be close to a bathroom. So about 2 hours after that first glass, between 6 a.m. and 6:30 a.m., you're going to take your last glass of Epsom salts. So whatever's left, throw it back 8 a.m. Same thing, go about your day, relatively light and easy. You'll have more and more watery bowel movements. Some of you may start to produce gallstones in that morning. That's okay. I mean, as it comes, let it flow. Some of you, because you've been fasting since noon the day before, you may start to get hungry. So you take that second glass at 8 a.m. Around 10 a.m., you can start to sip some fruit juice, some sort of fruit juice, whatever you have on hand. And this is, again, just kind of introducing food and nutrients into your body again, giving your body a chance to acclimate. And then after the juice, maybe 30 to 45 minutes later, you can actually start to eat some solid fruit. Again, do not stuff yourself. We mentioned before, your liver and your gallbladder have just gone through a major, quote unquote, procedure. So be mindful of that. I usually do like a handful of blueberries or a few slices of apple or a pear or something like that, something light. And then you'll be going to the bathroom, periodically without any prompting or anything like that. It'll hit you when you least expect it, and it's like, oh, I gotta go to the bathroom, and you'll probably pass stones throughout the rest of the day. Now, around noon, he says that you can return to kind of eating regularly, but be mindful again on being gentle on your liver and your gallbladder. I stuck to fruits and vegetables in the 2 days after the gallstone purge for the sake of taking it easy, trying not to do too much. Again, after a fast, it can be easy to want to throw back all the food because you're so hungry after that span of time. Be gentle. Be gentle. Rest as needed. Again, you're going to have parts of your liver and gallbladder functioning in a way that they had never, or they haven't in a long time. So you may need to rest. So make sure you give yourself enough time to rest. So some quick notes. The first time I ever did this flush, remember when I took those first shots of Epsom salts the night before, I didn't go to the bathroom. And I thought, oh man, either I'm really plugged up or something's not working. What's going on? Because of that, I did not see gallstones pass until the following night. So it took some time for things to get moving in me. Again, because I never had any quote unquote GI issues, I didn't think I had any problems being backed up, but apparently I was. But once I kind of got through that initial roadblock, gallstones came out no problem. And I've done it 5 times since then. I've done it a total of 6 times. And in the successive 5 times that I did it afterwards, the gallstones came much faster, much faster. The morning of when I woke up after the grapefruit and olive oil juice or olive oil. Your bowel movements will remain watery. Again, you don't have a lot of food. You know, hydrate appropriately. Gallstones of all different sizes will come at all different times. Once you kind of start to introduce food more and more, especially on the day after and 2 days after, things will start to solidify a little bit more. When it comes to identifying the gallstones, you saw the picture before, and it'll come up again too, but the gallstones themselves, because they are made of cholesterol and bile and fat and things like that, they will float. So you will not have to look hard for them. They'll be floating in the bowl. So the author mentions that in the first flushes, the oldest ones will come out first, right? They were kind of the first ones to get stuck, and everything else got stuck behind it. Some of those may be so laden with heavy metals that they may sink. Again, I did not go fishing for mine, but afterwards, tons float, and you will be able to see them. Like I said, anywhere from lentil size to quarter size. Some of them are different colors. So most of the ones initially in mine were like a pale yellow or a gray color. In maybe the 2nd through the 5th flush after that, I got like a bluish green color. The blue-green indicates that it is from your liver. Usually the pale gray or the yellow is either from your liver or your gallbladder specifically. Okay, so it's just kind of neat to be able to trace where everything is coming from. So absolutely wild. Some extra notes from the author on post-flush. So because you have all of these stones moving through your GI tract, and depending on the state of your GI tract, how packed it was, how well you cleared before the flush itself, gallstones can become lodged in your GI tract and become uncomfortable. He suggests getting a colonic 3 days after, giving yourself enough time to recover. Getting a professional colonic to have someone really clean out your insides. Okay. I didn't feel the need to. I wasn't that worried about it. I felt better than I ever had before. No upset stomach, no abdominal pain. I also knew that I was going to do it again in 3 weeks, which is the timetable he gives to between each successive flush. So like I said, 3 weeks, give yourself, a little bit less than a month before you start drinking your malic acid drink again. He also warns that, okay, so you've mobilized all of these, you've gotten rid of all these old gallstones, and now you have kind of everything in line has moved up a spot. So you initially have the relief of having those gallstones removed, but everything has kind of moved forward in the queue, and now you're having new gallstones lodge in their place. So you have that initial, couple days of feeling amazing, but then you have the new gallstones lodge again, and this can actually return and make symptoms feel worse than they were before. Personally, I didn't notice a huge thing. I wasn't really suffering to begin with, but he says that you may have symptoms return after those first few days. That doesn't mean anything's wrong. It just means that you need to do it again. He says it's important to continue flushing until you do not get any more stones to pass. And like I said, I'm at 6 and I'm still passing. So I will do it again in a few weeks. Like I mentioned before, you need to consult with your doctor to ensure that you are able to complete this protocol. This is only educational. This protocol through my eyes. You need to buy this book and you need to make this judgment for yourself. Okay? Nothing is meant to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. You know the drill. You have to make decisions for yourself. You have to consult with your physician. There are ways that you can help your liver both pre and post. As soon as I did that first liver flush, I was like, I'm getting a castor oil pack. Castor oil is apparently deeply penetrating and is able to help loosen gallstones even further. I use Queen of Thrones castor oil, and super simple. It's a cotton pad. You lace it over your stomach. You wear a dirty t-shirt over it, and you sleep with it. It did make things noticeably better for me. Also with the eating habits, fruits, vegetables. This shouldn't be, oh, here comes my cleanse, I got to eat healthy again. This should really be an initiation for you into realizing how important food is on your organ health. So continue those healthy eating habits. No preservatives, additives, dyes, no enriched or fortified flour. You know the drill on that. I've got plenty of content on all of those things. And then herbs. Herbs can help, right? Any sort of liver cleanse product that you see is probably going to have some milk thistle, some dandelion root, cayenne pepper, there's like a liver tonic that's going around on social media. I use that fairly regularly. Burdock root is another ingredient as well. So there are things that you can take outside of flushing itself that can help your liver do its job even better. And that's that. Okay. So like I said, none of what I presented here are instructions by any means. This is simply the summary that I followed, that I took from, and that I used. Not advice. Consult with your physician. I've got the book linked in the description as well as via the link tree on my TikTok. Go ahead, buy it, check it out. It is 110% worth its price. I think it's like $25. And definitely look at that. I've also got my own ebook. I've authored my own ebook looking at the connections between iron overload, inflammation, and chronic disease, which are inadvertently affecting your liver and your gallbladder as well as additional materials, supplement and herb guide, a nutrition guide / grocery list builder, and an exercise template as well for those looking to get started on their exercise journey. So as always, thank you so much for being here. Again, this is all about building confidence and building know-how for people looking to take control of their health, okay? The information is there. The resources are there. We need to start taking action. So thank you all for being here. I really appreciate it. This is episode 25 of Diabetics for Diabetics Radio. I'm your host, Bowie Madison. Thank you so much for being here and enjoy the rest of your day.